And that is one.
Hey, g'day. G'day, Dilly Bash Neeby. How you going, buddy? Oh, I've got to take my wife's mother out today, so I can't stream for too long, but I'm having my breakfast. I've only just woken up. I'm playing chess. I'm going back to the chess column. Here we are. Whoa, what's this thing? I can go over here. Seems to be one of the best ways to fight against this stupid system. Bad hair? No, it's all right. No, it is bad hair. No, I haven't brushed my hair. Having my breakfast. I will go and brush my hair. But first, must develop my bishop. We're running short of time. I can be sick. No, I'm not sick. Just woke up, that's all. Had a late night last night. Played the poker tournament. G'day, leftover chicken soup. Good morning. Having my porridge. We're slowly gaining on him. He's trying to trap my queen. Try and make me a longer diagonal.
So we'll leave here at 11:10.
If you want it.
Are you playing chess?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just got a message from Deborah inviting me over there.
Oh, that's good.
Timing?
Yeah. I won on time. It was a totally lost position, but I was just smarter. I don't like to play against cheaters at any level. So the question is, do I often play against cheaters at your level? And I don't like to play cheaters at any level. I don't like cheats. Okay. That's right, Josh37. Josh37. The idiot wanted to challenge me for $20, but he just wanted to use a chess engine and steal money. I mean, these people are pathetic. They're very, very poor IQ. No intelligence whatsoever. Anyway, it is common. It's common. There's a GameStop. I think it's called GameStop. They play for money there. But they all use chess engines. So they're pretty pathetic human beings, you know. But anyway, that's another thing. Anybody in the chat like to have a game? Forgive me if I look a little tired. I just woke up. It's 9:11 a.m. Oh, it's very common, squares and stuff. Very common. Gotham Chess caught 6 cheaters in one day, in one session. 6. And they're all banned. They're all banned from their servers. So, g'day, Nick Nicovioli. Nice of you to come in. Everything in Australia is really good today. I'm going to play another game. If there's anything that you would like to see me do, if you want to watch me play 1 minute chess or 5 minute chess or 10 minute chess, just let me know and I'll do that for you. I don't know how I survived that game that I won. I really don't know. This guy's looks like he's disconnected. It might be he might have just disconnected as the server linked him up with my game. Nico Violi, yes, I'll give you a game. Challenge me, Nico Violi. You can just challenge me. I'm ready for a game against Nico Violi. What's your chess.com handle, Nico Violi? Oh, yes, I certainly do. I've got a YouTube video on Tal. Yeah, the old Mikhail Tal. What a great player. Oh. There he is. I put Tal there. Tal's on the board. Where are we? Nico Violi. It's Nicholas Violi, isn't it? Add him as a friend and challenge him to a there you go. Disintegrator Stalker, he's called. Welcome, Nicholas. Right, so Nicholas is playing the Alekine's Defence. Or I'm playing it actually. Alekine's Defence, knight c3, knight f6, knight c3. Now we're playing, it's turned into a perk defence now. And with the perk defence, normally what they do is they play g6. I wonder if you'll pin my knight. You know, like, oh, look at that. Yeah, he's going to move. If I move the pawn, will he bring his knight forwards? Will he bring his knight forwards? That's a big question. I once played this position against Anne Purdy, who was the great CJS or Cecil Purdy's wife in the Carlos Lidham's tournament in Adelaide. She played knight e5. Yes, and then I gave, this is the exact position that I had against Anne Purdy. And I took the knight off. And I gave her my queen. So I want everybody to have a close look at this position and say, well, what do you take? Oh no, my queen! My queen, my queen, my queen! Ah! And then you give a check. Little check. Check is good. And then we see what happens. Oh, there's another check. What do I take it with a knight, or what do I do? What do I do? I take it with a knight. Whoopie-doo. See? Check. Now this is where you count the pieces. You've got to count the pieces, right? Thank you, Nicholas. I appreciate that. I've got I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. I've got 5 pieces, and Nicholas has got 4 pieces. Now Nicholas has got 4 pieces, and I've got 5 pieces. And now I've got 4 pieces, and Nicholas has got 2 pieces. I know you might think he's got 3 pieces, but one of them's trapped. Thank you, Josh. Did you like that? Did you? Well, watch out. Watch out for big traps. We show you all the traps here. We show you, g'day son Bobs. We show you all the traps. We've got to take that off. And now I've got 4 pieces, right? And what we do is we do a piece count and a pawn count. I've got 6 pawns, and Nicholas has got 8 pawns. But he's got a big hole. You see the knight coming in there? Right, there's a big hole in there. So we're threatening to take the pawn off, and we're threatening to jump in the hole, right? Like a bunny rabbit. Yeah, bunny rabbits jump in the little holes. So it's bad enough that we've taken all the pieces off, and we've got all the extra pieces, but now the pieces are going to cause some damage, particularly the knight. Well, that's right, Nicholas. You can resign, and we can have a look at the analysis board and see what you should have done. Thank you, squares and stuff. Yeah, well, that's the worst move. But at this stage, it's lost anyway. Because now I hit this castle, and I hit that pawn with check and threaten that castle there, see? And I still haven't even moved any of this. Wait till these ones start moving. There we go. That's it now. Well, I'm going to analyse it for him because we're going to have a look. We'll have a look at the position, and I'll get you a better view. There you go. That's a slightly better view. Okay, now you can see better, and I can see better. Right, okay. This is Nicholas, and we'll see how he went. Right, that's a book move. The Alechine's defence. I played knight c3. That's a book move. d6, good move. Excellent, best move. That's an excellent move. There's nothing wrong with that move. Nothing wrong with it. Knight f3, that's normal. That's a book move. Bishop g4. d5, that's a book move. Now, knight here, it says it's the best move. And I took the knight off. And the engine says it's an excellent move, but it's not the best move. It says bishop e3 was best, all right? Now you took the queen. That's the best move. I gave you a check. That's the best move. Ah, that's where you went wrong. So the correct move is pawn here. Try to keep your queen. So I would take the pawn. And that's the best move. Now what's the best move here? What do you do here? Ah, so let's have a look. D takes E5. The best move is pawn takes knight. Okay? That's the best move. Right, that would be wrong. And what your best move is pawn check. So the queen's attacked by the bishop and the pawn. And that would be the best move. And then we take the queen. The king would take. And we'd take the bishop. And then you would take the pawn. And then if you got to this position, I would have 7 pawns and you would have 7 pawns. And white would have an advantage. As you can see, the bar on the left-hand side of the board gives white a small advantage. But then again, you would have had to have navigated through all those complications, Nicholas. Okay? And that's where I tricked you. I did the old magician trick with the shell game. Or the pulling the rabbit out of the hat. Something like that. Yeah, anyway. Right, so we'll get out of here. We'll leave that page. And do you want a rematch, Nicholas? One more game for Nico Violi. Okay, Nicholas chooses E4. My voice is wandering a little bit. I've been talking too much, probably streaming too much talk. I played the Mark of the Sicilian, the old Sicilian. That's considered to be a bad move, or not the best move. Not the best move, because it makes the bishop's ready to be attacked and stuff. We'll take that off. Okay. Well, we'll just attack the pawn. So I develop my knight. I put my knight on the F6 square, which is a natural square for development for the knight, to exert pressure in the centre and to prepare to castle kingside, right? Now that's not a good move because you just neglect your pawn. You're giving me a pawn. I've got to take it. I mean, you're giving me a pawn. I've got to take it. Okay. The correct move was knight to c3 to defend the pawn, right? To defend the pawn. Now, now what you've done is you've made that basic mistake in chess of moving the same piece twice in the opening. So I'm going to just go back and put my knight on its natural square. So white's ahead in development. White's trying to keep some space in the game. But the problem is, and there is a problem, and that is there's lack of development on white's part. Sorry, lack of material, losing a pawn, lack of material. That's a good move. I can simply give you a check. Yes. Boom. Yeah, you can have a pounding squares and stuff. I'm not giving him a pounding. I'm just trying to outplay him a little bit. So now he's got this threat, knight to b5. It's dangerous. So I probably should stop him doing that. Okay. Well, I think I should play pawn here and open up this bishop, right? Okay. Now there's a distinct problem in this position for black, and that is the black. So not only are you pawn down, but you've got to be a bit wary of the black squares. I mean, I can push that pawn there. I could try to take the centre. While you're coming down the side, I could try to take the centre, get your knight off that big post, that square. The best move was bishop here. I believe bishop there was the best move. Not now, you can't do that now. As a matter of fact, now you lose the bishop. So though black has got no pieces working other than the two bishops, these are sort of working. These bishops, they're working. But other than that, okay. I'm just going to hold my pawn there. It looks like a boring move, but I'm a piece up, and I've got 2, 4, 5 pawns, and you've got 6. So it probably wasn't the best move, but I'm happy. I'm happy. Well, I could take that pawn with the knight. And I can take it with the rook. I'll take it with the rook. We have a situation where I've got double pawns here, and you've got a pawn here and here, and those pawns are isolated pawns. When pawns are isolated, they're weaker, and they can become targets, right? Now in this position, I can attack that knight, but it doesn't do much. I'm going to play a knight here because I want to get my knight on c5. I'm looking at getting my knight on c5. This might not be the best move. Maybe bishop d7 was more accurate, and followed by bishop c6. Yeah, so bishop d7 would have been more accurate, followed by bishop c6. Okay. But my real plan was always to play knight here. That was my real plan. So now I'm threatening your knight, right? I'm threatening the knight and threatening the pawn. Okay. And the whole idea is when I recapture with check, and that gives me time to get my pieces out. So now I can play this move bishop d7 that I always wanted to play. And I'm just simply threatening to take a pawn off. Now you've got a check, so I can castle. So I've now got my king in a little bit of safety, and my rook is now free to move. I can now pin your knight against your rook. And the only move is rook here. That's the only move. Because you have to defend your knight. And then I'll take that one off. And you've got to take the bishop. That's forced because you can't lose too much material. That's a forced move. And so now it's a mopping up process. So I play rook takes pawn, activate my rook, and now I'm threatening to take that pawn. Yeah, well, there's a problem with that move, and that is after bishop here, your rook hasn't got much play. And I'm still threatening to take that pawn. Right, but now I can threaten to take this pawn. And now I get my last piece working. I play rook here, right? And you can see where your rook here is nearly trapped. It's nearly trapped. The only way out is via there. That's the only way out. I'm going to play rook here. And now you can see how your rook can get trapped. If I play rook here, your rook here is trapped. Right? Right now it's trapped. So you can see you're really tied up now because that's right. But now what happens is the rook check comes in, and that's checkmate coming. It's mate in two, checkmate in 2 moves. Announcing mate in 2. Announcing mate in 2. 1. Announcing mate in 1. Announcing mate in 1. Well, there's a checkmate there, and there's a checkmate there. Which one do I do? I'll go for that one. So there was 2 checkmates, but I can only take one at a time. Aha! Oh, Big DG Games says that he used his binoculars to look for a good move while streaming chess today. Nicholas, you might not know this, but I'm going to show you something special. You've met Teddy. Teddy runs my chess engine. This is Teddy's assistant. He's very cute. He's new on the block. He's learning the ropes. And we don't make goofy moves here on my channel. We don't make goofy moves. But as Big DG says, one second. As Big DG says, and you've got to listen to what Big DG says too. One second. Yeah, I'm back. I'm going to tell you the secrets of chess. I'll come back to specially teach you the secrets of chess that grandmasters don't tell you about. You heard it first on my channel. Big DG's in Scotland, right? He's up near Dunfermline in Scotland. And he does comedy for the BBC Scotland. Comedy skits. Now I can tell you something, this is the grandmasters won't tell you this about chess. You can improve overnight. 500 rating points, maybe 1,000 rating points overnight. Would you like to be 1,000 rating points stronger? Well, it's just one mistake you're making. If you're using your magnifying glass to look for a good move on the board, right, and you don't find that working, some players have been smart enough to get binoculars, because sometimes the hidden moves are so deep in the position. The hidden moves, they're deep in the position, so they're far away out of sight. So you've got to use your binoculars, right, to find the best move. Big DG knows. So we're using the binoculars, but the grandmasters don't tell you, do they? You must take your lens caps off. If you don't take your lens caps off, you can't see anything. You can't see a bloody thing. But if you've got your lens caps off, then you can see the position very clearly. So just remember, don't forget to take your lens caps off your binoculars if you want to be able to see the board clearly. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. It's something for all the novices. I'm going to play a new game, a standard game. 5 minutes. Yes, I'm a bit crazy. I've got my crazy hat on. I'm ready to go. Nicholas is up for it. He wants a hiding. He wants a bashing. Oh, God, it's terrible, isn't it? Knight F3. What's a 5-minute game? Ah! Picky, picky, picky. That's my porridge. A yellow card for Charlie Rowlands. I don't know who he is. We'd best not know. Oops. We'd best not know who Charlie Rowlands is. I'd like to thank Nicholas Violi for being a friend of the channel and coming in today and playing chess. So I'm playing rook to e1. Firstly, before I play this move, rook to e1. Nicholas, when you play bishop here, the bishop stops your queen coming out. The pawn here, this pawn, it can't move, right? You block your pawn. When your pawn's blocked, that means your bishop's blocked too. So it's a bad blocking move, right? A very bad blocking move. It inhibits your pawns from working effectively. Now, if I took that knight before, okay, excuse me, if I took that knight before, right, your B pawn could have recaptured, right? But now that you've pushed the B pawn, I can take the knight, right? I can actually take the knight. Okay. Now why is taking the knight mentioned? I'll tell you why. It's because now I can do a pawn push and threaten to take the pawn, you see? And I've got a big attack in the centre. And you've got double pawns there. That's right, you can do that. I can take the pawn off. Now you can't take that one because I take the queen. You had to take the knight. You had to take the knight first, Nicholas, because now I can play knight takes bishop. I know it's hard to see all those things in 5 minutes, in a small amount of time, but your game wasn't too bad, right? I could play I can pin the knight. You can take the pawn. I can pin the knight. I'll pin the knight against the castle. You see, white's pieces, notice how they flow easily. Their pieces all flow and they harmonise. Whereas black's position's all contorted and twisted, right? And that's because the bishop d6 move. When you play bishop here, right? That's why the whole position's contorted. Because that one bad move, was a very bad move. Now, don't be sorry, Nicholas, because what we're here to do is we're trying to teach you. It doesn't matter whether you win or lose the game. It's about you learning, right? So please, for people in the channel that are low rated, just remember, this is about learning. This is not about winning or losing or anything like that. This is just simply about understanding the game, right? So all I'm doing is, well, I've got that. I can take that rook off. And what I can suggest for Nicholas is, that's right, you're all winners. Thank you, Big DG. As Big DG says, you're all winners in this channel because we're all learning together. This has got nothing to do with playing badly. But what I'll do is I'm going to show Nicholas. I want him to learn. So I'm going to show Nicholas how this should be played. This is your free chess lesson, Nicholas. Maybe you'll consider subscribing to my channel. But something tells me you might be a schoolboy. Are you a man or a boy? I don't mean that in a bad way. But are you a novice, like a schoolboy that's just learning, or are you a man, right? Because I just had the feeling that Nicholas, a man. Sorry, it's just that. I'll tell you why I asked that question. I asked you that question because I was concerned that I might have upset a young boy. You know, like sort of, like when you said you're sorry and stuff like that. I didn't want to hurt your feelings. I had to be really sure because like children, like young men are in a very, very delicate development stage, and I just want to be sure, just in case. Anyway, here we go. I played that, and Nicholas played e5. Now that's a good move, and that's normal in this variation. It's called the Ruy-Lopez Berlin defense, but it doesn't matter what it's called. Knight c6. You see, the knight there is a good move. Bishop b5. Now that's a standard move. It's a mark of the Ruy-Lopez opening. The whole idea behind that is to put pressure on taking the knight, right? And if the pawn takes back, right? So you took the knight. If you take the knight, then the pawn can take back. See? And then if you play knight takes pawn, well, queen here would attack the knight and the pawn with check, and that's just a booked line. So bishop here doesn't threaten to take the knight. What it really does is just increases the scope of the bishop, gives the bishop the option of going back there, and prepares to castle, to put the king into safety, to start major operations, right? So that's what it's about. Let's see how you replied. You replied knight f6, a book move. Well played, Nicholas. Don't have to be sorry about that. Best move, right? So I played castles. Now, in this position, for experienced players, they can actually take that pawn. They can take it, but for weaker players, they have to be careful because there's a few traps, right? So for beginner players, I recommend bishop here, just so that you can castle. Bishop here for a beginner, just so you can castle, okay? And you'll get an easier game, right? But you play bishop here, and the engine says it's an inaccuracy. It's a very, very bad move. Okay? Now, I'll show you how the game could have went. The game could have went bishop e7, rook it, bishop e7 preparing to castle, right? Now, remember, that pawn's attacked, right? So when you move the bishop, that pawn's attacked. So white would defend the pawn, okay? And then you can play D6, you can protect your pawn, right? That would protect it, create a pawn chain, protect your pawn, okay? And that'd be a star move. That'd be the best move, okay? And that would be a better way to play that position. I won't go into it much further, but you can see the bishop D6 idea and all the flaws associated with that move. So there's your free chess lesson. Okay, all right then. Anybody else would like a game? Don't forget, if you're using your binoculars, take the lens caps off, right? Just like Big DG says. You might want to check out Big DG's channel. It's called Big DG Games, just like his name on the chat level. And he's got some comedy videos in there. And he's quite funny. He does some comedy for the BBC Scotland. Squares and Stuff sent me a friend request. I'll certainly have a look at that. 1 second. Where's the friend requests? I don't know. I've got some games here. Look at that. I'll play D6. Right. Oh, D6. It's a game for three days or some sort of rubbish. I'm looking at my stupid thing here. Is it that one? Ah, there we go. And I'm white. Okay, that'll do me. Yeah, what I didn't do in that position, I didn't push that point and then click the arrow. So I've made a move there. But I was looking for friend requests. I've got too many friends. Clubs, chat. I don't know where they are at the moment. I'll accept that friend request as soon as I can. Hold on. Squares and Stuff. Squares and Stuff. Oh, it's Alexander Marshall. Chess obsessed. I love it. I love it. He's chess obsessed. I accepted your friend request. And, hey, listen, by the way, Alexander's a beginner. Would you like a 10-minute game, Alexander? Would you like a 10-minute game? Okay, so we're going to challenge Alexander to a 10-minute game. And maybe Alexander might consider becoming a chess follower of our channel if he's not already, or even a subscriber, we hope. Here we go, Squares and Stuff. We're going to play standard, make it 10 minutes, just so that we don't overawe him with what's going on. Now he's been challenged. Okay, we'll take off that hat. No goofy moves, Alexander. We're watching you. I'm watching you, Alexander. No, I haven't got the lens caps off. I tell other people, take those lens caps off. What I like to do with the binoculars is that I like to go out at night and look at the moon. I do the odd howl at the moon. When I'm not going, porn alert, Yeah, well, when I'm not doing that, I'm howling at the moon. I'm driving my wife balmy here. I've got to take her out and the mother-in-law. Ah! What would you rather do? Would you rather play chess, squares and stuff, or take out your mother-in-law? I'm going to play knight here. Now, that's a positional move. The plan is that with the superior development of having two knights working, as opposed to one, that maybe I can just play pawn here to e4 and then recapture the pawn here with the bishop. So that's the whole idea. So what I'm doing is I'm allowing the pawn to deflect away from the centre. But meanwhile, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to gain a foothold in the centre. Because in chess, the centre of the game is really important, particularly for beginners. It's a good way for beginners to learn that they have to look after the centre of the game. So I'm pushing the pawn forwards. Okay. That's a very passive move, but nonetheless, it's okay. For a beginner, it's a good move, right? So we can't criticise that move. Because after all, what squares and stuff has done here today is he's got through the opening, almost through the opening, once he plays his bishop, he has to answer the question, do I put my bishop here or do I put my bishop here? Okay? So that's the question he has to ask himself because he wants to castle into safety. And bishop here, bishop there, had the bishop gone here, then he would have been threatening to take the pawn because the knight would be pinned by the... I couldn't recapture because I would have been pinned. So that was just a distinct option. But this move's okay. It's stodgy. It's not brilliant, but it does the job, right? So I'm going to castle. I've got full development and I've got decent play. And now black should castle. That's probably the correct move. Right. And now what's happened is we've played 7 moves. And Squares and Stuff has got a good game. He's made no big mistakes. You know, I've beaten people over 2,300 in 7 moves. Yeah, seriously. I've beaten people over 2,300 in 7 moves in some games. Right? With book traps and stuff like that. Now, what we can say about Squares and Stuff, he's navigated 7 moves of the opening and he hasn't lost any material. His king looks nice and safe. So, kudos to Squares and Stuff. I'm going to play a3 just in case this knight, which hasn't got much future there, decides to attack me. All right? Okay? Now, in a position like that, black should be looking at trying to work out how to get this bishop out somehow, this bishop. This bishop is black's worst piece. All the other pieces are performing a function, right? Now, that doesn't look good because it doesn't offer any future. It can't do anything over there. But perhaps if pawn here's played, then the bishop could go on a long diagonal and do something, right? That's right. Good move. And now what I'll play is I'll play queen to d3. Now, the best to follow up and play bishop here. Probably best to just play that. Right, now black's developed all the minor pieces. The knight's developed, this knight's developed on the proper squares on f6 and c6. The bishops are both developed a little bit. And now, more importantly, the heavy artillery at the back is clear to commence operations, if necessary, right? Now, it's white to move, and I look at the position, I say, well, my bishop's got a long diagonal. Is there a good square that I can put that on? And I don't like the idea of moving it right away. I like the idea of getting my rook behind the centre pawn. Rook to d1. Right? So everything's protected up to there. I like a nice solid position. And now this is where black's got to consider how black proceeds from here. It's not easy to work out what to do in this position, because the reason being it's hard to work out what to do is white's got that line from there to there on the arrow. See that the knight's covering that square, the bishop's covering that square, the bishop's covering the pawn square, the pawn's covering that square, the pawn's covering that square, the knight's covering that square. So you can see how I'm focusing all my pieces on the centre. This is an excellent move. Excellent move. So now I'm going to remove my bishop. I don't want him to take my bishop. If he was able to take that bishop in this position, he would win, because he would take the bishop and then capture the e-pawn. So I'll retreat my bishop back to a2. Okay. Now he's got a problem. Black's got a problem, and that is, the problem for black is that space. His problem is space, and not only that, they say a knight on the rim is grim. A knight on the rim is grim. That's a saying, and what they mean is a knight on the side of the board is not usually a good thing, right? But in this case, it's not real bad. It's not real bad because it can always be moved, can't it? The other thing is, in Germany, they say "Der Springer am Rande bringt Schande." Der Springer is the horse that jumps all over the place, right? Der Springer am Rande, on the side of the board, bringt Schande, thunder, lightning, disaster, right? Queen d7. This is a very logical move. It's a very logical move. Well, I'm going to play bishop e3. Now, the reason why I'm playing that move is because I'm playing squares and stuff, right? I might not necessarily play that move. I'm not sure. I was tempted to play. Yeah, I knew he could do that. And the whole idea is, I worked out that if he does that, then I'll go here. I'll just move one square forwards, right? So that was my plan, right? And now I'm trying to get his knights and get him moving his knights onto spurious squares where my pieces are coordinating better than his. So that was a tempter, if you can call it that. I used a tempter by playing bishop to e3. The other reason I played bishop e3 was to prepare to put my rook here. That's what I was really doing. So in this position, this is a very critical position. I'm going to play my rook to the A file to C8, right? C1. Okay, so now I've got my rooks on A, because there's one white pawn missing along that file. It's called a semi-open file, and it exerts a hidden pressure on the C pawn. It's a hidden pressure. It's not real pressure. It's just sort of hidden a little bit. I had another option. The other option I had was probably E5. Oh, this is a good move. This is a good move. Anyway, I'm going to now retreat this bishop. I'm going to put my bishop here on B1. Now, why do I put my bishop on B1? You might see that Squares and Stuff is manoeuvring his pieces around, right? He's manoeuvring his pieces around. He's put his knight back on a good defensive square. But by the same token, I moved my bishop twice, like once. I moved my bishop there once, and then again twice, okay? He moved his knight twice, but his knight ended up going back to the same square, right? He moved his knight there and moved his knight back again. So he never achieved anything, but I achieved putting my bishop up here on F4. So I actually achieved something. Now he's correctly defended my knight infiltration move, right? My knight infiltration move. So, but I've created a new weakness now. So I'm going to play bishop to A2. I'm going back where I came from. So we're all manoeuvring around, we're going backwards and forwards. We're all waiting for something to happen, as you do. Okay, so I can see a nice little hole from a knight, so I'll play knight there. And I like the fact that it's a tempo. It's a tempo. It moves a tempo, attacks the queen. So he moves his queen there. And that's when I can say to myself, well, if I move my knight here, or you could pin it. Yeah, you could pin it. So I'm going to play queen over here, because his king's a bit naked. If we put a line down here on the board, you might see that in this little box here, there's no protection for the black king. So we start moving our pieces slowly over to the other side of the board, right? Well, then something might happen, right? And we could take that pawn off, for instance, okay? This is we're trying to break up his king. And we have succeeded. Oh no, Nicholas! Whoop, whoop, whoop. Queen alert, king alert. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Check. And that's the end of the game. It only takes one mistake. And then boom! Hulk smash! Anyway, now we have a look at this position. We can take the queen, but we don't need to take the queen. We can give him a check, can't we? If you see a good move, always look for a better one. Now he can put his knight there. So now we give him a queen check. You see? We don't take his queen. We don't take his queen. We check him. Give him a check. Now he can't put his knight in because it's pinned. And now we play queen check here, and that's mate. And isn't that better than taking the queen? After all, that's what the game's all about. we don't take the queen. We always look for a better move. So that's another rule in chess. If you see a good move, always look for a better one. I hope you found that game instructive, right? Well, I'm glad you found that an instructive game, because Black didn't do too many things wrong. He didn't do too many things wrong, and yet his position burst open. Let's have a look at this position here. We'll go into analysis just to have a quick look at what was going on, especially with the bar on the side of the board, because this is a very instructive game for beginners. Thank you, Kasparov GN. Please follow my channel. And by the way, I do YouTube videos too, and it's the same name as FM John Curtis Chess on YouTube. So check out my videos on FM John Curtis Chess on YouTube, okay? Yeah, so we'll just flick through the moves. All right, book move, 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 and then that's an inaccuracy. Bishop G4 was best, but still, it wasn't the end of the game. Have a look at the bar on the side of the board. White's got an advantage. See, Bishop B4, remember I said that was an option? A3. Oh, the book says A3 was better. Castles. I played A3, star move. Star move is the best move. B6, a good move according to the engine. Queen D3, not so good. Bishop A2 is better. Anyway, Bishop B7, star move, good move. Rook to D1, excellent. B4 was better. Knight to A4, star move, best move. Bishop A2, best. C5 was the best move, right? Okay. So in this position, the follow-up move, White's got the advantage here, is C5, okay? Right, so that's the correct move. Bishop E3. Well, I told you I did that as a tempter move, and my opponent made the mistake of being tempted. Thank you very much for that. Appreciate that. Really appreciate. Oh, Squares and Stuff subscribed. Oh, thank you. We have a new subscriber. Well done, Squares and Stuff. And Squares and Stuff, you come back here, buddy, and I'll play you again. I'll give you some more chess lessons for being a subscriber. I'll remember that. That's it. You're up there, buddy. You're a subscriber. Anyway, let's have a look. Rook to F5 D8. I thought that was not a bad move. Yeah, H3, the engine's saying. But I played rook there. My plan was simple. I wanted to play bishop here, and pawn here hits the knight when the knight goes back, and then get the big check down here on H7. But Squares and Stuff was smart enough to see all that. So he played knight F6. I played the bishop back. I'm threatening to hit his knight, and if his knight moves, then the queen would then be able to take the pawn with check. And what does he do? He plays G6. Excellent move. Okay, excellent move. Engine says knight H5 is best, but that's probably very, very deep. You know, these engines are not human. So I played bishop to A2. You see, now they've achieved what I wanted on the king's side. I go back to the queen side. And see my bishop, I play a star move, best move. And you might see the white bar on the left-hand side of the board. It says that White's got an advantage, right? It's a spatial advantage. It's all about the space. Oh, Kasparov, welcome. Thank you very much. Kasparov GN has just subscribed. And Kasparov will give you a game too, if we could. But I've got to take my mother-in-law out after we finish the analysis and stuff. Right, let's have a look. Hype train incoming. We've got a hype train incoming. Whoop, whoop. Sub-gift or use bits to get to the next level. Oh, God, love. It's a hype train. Wow. We've got a hype train. I don't know what to do about a hype train. So it says, wow, I've got a hype train. Anyway, where was I? I'm gas bagging here. Right, so knight to g8. This is interesting. When I played bishop a2, I was looking at this square here. I could envisage my knight coming here and my queen coming over here with the idea of putting 3 pieces on that little pawn, right? So that, like a pyramid, look, like the divine pyramid, yeah. Anyway, but it was like a crisscross, and I could see that that was a way to try to further weaken squares, right? Anyway, he played knight g8, and that wasn't, it's not too bad, really. Oh, X Supreme's now following. Thank you, X Supreme. Yeah, not too bad, really. It says knight h5, try to attack the bishop and cause the bishop a bit of disturbance or whatever. But I like this idea here. I played knight e5. Knight e5, yeah. Queen, that's forced. That's why it's a star move, it's forced. And now I played queen there. And that's the best move on the board. Now, the way I see it is that knight here would hold, that might hold the e-pawn. See, you've got to defend that e-pawn, or maybe bishop back or something like that. But the e-pawn's under attack. It's under attack because it's not under attack by taking here on the e-pawn, but it's under attack anyway. d5 might be coming, okay, to try to further open up the position. Right, so h4, and that's when the blunder occurred. You see, in this position here, let me explain something about pawn structure. We'll talk about pawn structure. This is your pawn structure here, right? Okay, I'm talking the bleeding obvious, but that's called a pawn phalanx, right? And this pawn here is protected by 2 pawns, 2 base pawns. Technically, we call them base pawns because they're at the base of the pyramid here, right? Okay, now when you play this move, here, forget about the combination. Even in an ordinary position, what you've done is you've gone down to 1 base pawn. 1 base pawn is holding all of those pawns here, okay? So in other words, you've created a weak link, so that even so, if I didn't get you there, wait a second, if I didn't get you there, I could always move my queen here, threatening knight takes pawn check and queen takes pawn. I could play d5 and try to open up the position after I move my queen, right? Okay, I can do all these different things. I've got all these different plans. With d5, if I played d5, I could recapture with a pawn. I'd be threatening to trap that knight. Remember, der Springer am Rande bringt Schande, or the knight on the rim is grim. So there's a whole lot of lessons in this game for beginners. So squares and stuff, this will be in your archive. So if you go to your archives, your archive games, right? Go to your archive games. Right, you'll see that all your games are recorded in chess.com, and all you do is you click on that one there. Oops, where are we? Click on this. And up comes your game. And you can go through that later, and you can remember what's taken place, and maybe perhaps use the same techniques on your opponents, right? That's the chess learning process. So it's not about losing or winning the game, it's about learning, okay? Rightio. I hope you enjoyed that. I did my best to present all the ideas to you in the best way I possibly could to make things as clear and concise as possible. without using binoculars, right? Without using the binoculars. Okay, rightio then. So we'll get rid of the squares and stuff. Bang, he's gone. Listen, I'd like to thank our friends for coming in. Kasparov, particularly, he's in here as well. And thank you, Kasparov GN, for subscribing at Tier 1. Would you like to have a game, Kasparov GN? Would you like to have a game? As I say, all your games are usually automatically stored on chess.com, so it's a good thing, good point of reference to go past. You know what you should do in chess? When you win a game, you might sometimes go back and review the game you won and say, well, oh, you know, like, did I play well? You know, I feel like I played well. You know, like, but or maybe it's your losses. Maybe you might be that sort of person that just goes and has a look at your lost game and says, well, what did I do wrong here? Well, do you know that it's just as important to look at your won games as your lost games. And then you can find out where you could have gone better, where you could have played a better move, okay? So, yes, it's just as important to look at your lost games as your won games. Right? So they're as important as each other. And another good thing, another good tool is to play through Grandmaster chess games and just try to work out what the Grandmasters are doing and how they're thinking, you know. Because you can pick up a lot by pattern recognition. Even if you don't understand it all, it goes into your subconscious, right? When you're playing through the moves, particularly if you're doing it on the board, on a chessboard, rather than, say you've got your chessboard next to your computer, you've got your chessboard, and you might have the room there, I don't know whether you have, but if you move the pieces and you actually touch the pieces, right, you're touching the pieces and it's all going into your subconscious. And so you're reinforcing by touch and sense and sight. And that's even stronger than just learning on a computer, because you're actually touching something and it's sending all the signals through to the brain and it all comes together, right? That's one of the beautiful things about playing chess across the board. So if you've got time to enter go to your local chess club and sit down there and have a game of chess and suck in the atmosphere of the chess room, and sit there against your opponent, and that wonderful feeling of, you know, the tension, you know, and the nerves too, the nerves of playing your opponent and trying to outwit or outthink your opponent, or if he's a strong player or she, then learning from that opponent. Right? There's so much to learn in chess. It's such a beautiful game. Right? And it's not just a game, it's a way of life too. Chess is life and life is chess. Because chess is like a game of life, isn't it? Anyway, that's too much philosophy for right now. I'll lose all my subscribers and my followers, they'll all run away. But let's see now. What time are we leaving? 11? Something like that. I think I'm leaving at 11, so I've just got another 10 minutes or 15 minutes. So Kasparov, he wants to play. So Kasparov GN, K Puchinho. So we're gonna challenge him. K P Uchin. Oh. Okay, so we're looking for K. Did I put a big K on it, did I? K Puchinho. K Puchinho. There he is, John Beanie. Hey, he's got a bunny rabbit. He's got a bunny rabbit. He's from France. Oh, wonderful. John Beanie or Benny. Oh, he's got a bunny rabbit. I accept his friend's request. Of course I do. And we'll challenge him. And a standard game, well, 10 minutes, yeah. Right. Play. Here we go. So I've sent you a friend. Here we go. So 10 minutes, we're playing this. This will be my last game for my good subscriber. My good, wonderful subscribers. Oh, X Supreme. Oh, X Supreme. I'll try to be as fast as I can. Knight F3. I'll get X Supreme in as well. Okay? Knight F3. We're threatening the pawn on E5. Okay, well, last time I played the Roy Lopez, or we might make it a Roy Lopez day, right? Today is Roy Lopez day. I'll do the same thing again. Bishop B5. So we're playing Pachinho, and he is from France. He's one of our friends from France. God bless France. Okay, playing D6, it's a solid move. And I usually always reply with D4. Reason being is my knight protects the pawn, my queen protects the pawn, and it also opens up my bishop, right, for development. So all my pieces are they're moving in harmony together, right? This is really important. And I always tell players that what this is, it's like a military operation. Now, if you're conducting a military operation, and that's what chess is, it's like a military game. You've got powerful queens and bishops and knights and all the foot soldiers and the pawns, and they're all your little people, right? And you're the general. That's right, that's right. So don't just think, oh, I'm just a chess player, I don't know what I'm doing. No, these are your little people. They're all your little people. You're the king. You're the real king, right, of your position. And your responsibility is to look after all your little people, right? Now, another country has challenged you to war, right? Serious thing. They challenge you to war. So when you're looking after all your little people, you've got to coordinate your forces. And so that's why it's important, peace coordination. You can't have dysfunctionality in the public. How would you as ruler be perceived by your people? No, you can't do that. So what you've got to do is you've got to coordinate all your pieces, okay? Now, I've coordinated. I've got my knights on C3, natural squares, got my 2 pawns in the middle, and I've got my bishop out. That means I'm prepared to castle, right? To complete my development, to complete harmonious development. And that's what Black's got to do now. Black's got to look at his position and say, well, how do I develop my pieces, not lose material, and do some harmonious development and get my king into safety and keep the material balance at the same time? These are the questions that you're putting to yourself. And in Cupertino, he's thinking now. He's thinking about what he should do. One of the things in this position is you should ask yourself is, and I repeat myself over and over again, because I am your sensei. You are my grasshoppers, and it's my job to teach you how to think. How to think, not what to think, not teach you what to think, but how to think. So he brings his knight out. He plays knight to F6. Now, why does he do that? Well, he correctly knows that he's got to play bishop E7 and he's got to castle at some stage. But more importantly, he's got to make sure that he doesn't lose a pawn. Because remember, you've got to examine all checks and examine all captures in chess. So if I was to take that knight, for instance, he could recapture with the bishop. Okay? Then if I was to take that pawn, well then his bishop and his knight could combine on that pawn. And so therefore, if I take the pawn off, I release all the tension in the position in the centre. So what do? I castle and bring my heavy artillery, that is my rook, into the game somehow, right? So now I play rook e1. Do I play rook e1? I can play rook e1. I don't know that that's the best move, but we'll have a look at it. If rook e1, and I'm not threatening anything. So he's preparing to castle. Well, play rook e1. And he castles. He did that very quickly. It's almost like he's using a chess engine. I'm not saying he is, but he's 741 rating, and he was so confident in that position. Now, is his confidence justified? If I play bishop takes knight, he must take with the bishop. Now if I take his pawn, okay, so he recaptures with the pawn. Then I take his pawn. Then I take his queen. Then his rook takes. Then I play knight takes pawn. Well, I believe that I win a pawn. Bishop takes knight. Now he can't take with the pawn. He must take with the bishop. Now I can play pawn takes pawn. Now here, this is the critical situation. If I take his queen, his rook takes. Then if I take his pawn, now you ask yourself, which rook will he capture with? Does he take with the queen's rook or the king's rook? And a lot of players, beginners, they ask themselves these questions, and I don't think that there's much difference. In this position, I can play knight takes pawn. In this position, I could also play bishop to knight 5. So if I play knight takes pawn, he can play knight takes pawn. No, he can't. Knight takes pawn. He can play bishop takes pawn. So if I play bishop knight 5, I'm threatening knight takes pawn. Right, so now I'm threatening knight takes pawn. So this is a critical position. And Cupertino is a bunny rabbit. See, remember, if I'm the magician, he's the bunny rabbit. And I'm trying to put him back in the hat, and he's trying to get out. The little bunny's trying to get out of the hat. The magician's trying to push the bunny back in the hat. He's using his time up. He's thinking. He's played rook there. I thought the best move was bishop here. We'll have a look at what the chess engine says after this. But it's all very difficult. But I think I can just take that pawn off now. It has always been my aim to pinch that pawn, to try to put pressure on to take the pawn off. So this is a very instructive game, very instructive. So because really Cupertino, he didn't do anything seriously wrong. He actually played a really good, solid opening structure, and he didn't do anything seriously wrong at all. Obviously, he did something wrong. Perhaps he had to capture the piece in the centre or something like that. But now he's played knight d7. This is a tricky move. He's on my bishop. So I can take his knight and then take his rook. I can take his bishop and then take his rook. So now I'm attacking two rooks. The net result of this will be that he's got a bishop on c6, attacking granite, right? That is my pawn on e4. Okay. He really has to play knight takes knight. He hasn't got any other move, because then he gets a piece back. But he's going to drop what's called the exchange. But knight takes knight's the correct move and the only move in the position. So now it's a choice of which rook do you take. Well, we take the rook that's advanced. This rook here is doing a job, performing a function. Otherwise, if we took the other rook down here, the rook might come across here and threaten a knight check and get some sort of play. But now he's got an isolated d-pawn. This pawn is called an isolated d-pawn. Now what we do is we analyse this position. We say, well, what can black do? Well, black can go here and be nasty and start threatening to take a pawn and things like that. Well, we can stop all that in one move, can't we? We can just play pawn here and the knight can't penetrate. The knight can't go there. It can't go here. It can't go there. So it's a preventative move. So when we look at the position and we analyse it, we say we've got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pawns, and our opponent's got 6 pawns. We've got 2 castles. They're worth 5 each. That's 10, and the knight's worth 3. That's 13 points. That castle over here is worth 5. The black castle is worth 5, and he's got 6 points. So I've got 13 points, and he's got 5 and 6 is 11 points, right? So I'm well in front of him anyway. So now logic tells me I've got a rook in the corner, and where would you put the rook? Not there, because the pawn blocks it. So you put the rook on the D file. Remember the other rook here, this rook was doing a job protecting the E pawn. So it's doing a job. So that's why we use the rook on the A file to D1, to attack the isolated D pawn. See, so firstly, we stopped the knight infiltrating and causing trouble. And secondly, we put our rook on an active square on a semi-open file, threatening an isolated backward d-pawn. Yes, an isolated backward d-pawn. Keywords being isolated and backward. Now he plays rook, knight, rook, pawn there. Well, rook takes pawn. So now we've got 7 pawns and he's got a couple. If we want to win this position quickly, we could play pawn to f3, but we can win this position very quickly with rook there. But we'll go play rook here. Reason being, I know he's on the e-pawn. Yes, I know he's on the e-pawn, but I'm not worried because I'm looking at the bigger picture. The bigger picture is I've got 7 pawns and he's got 5. So I can give him a pawn back, okay? I can give him a pawn back. Because I control the D file, the almighty D file. Now I threaten to take his rook. He hasn't got time to take the pawn. He can't take it. I'm threatening checkmate. But more importantly, and that's what we're looking at, the importance of things, he's dropped his rook. Yeah, more importantly, yeah, that's the end of the game. Well, you should resign now, and then we'll go and analyse what you should have done in the opening, because your opening was really good. Oh, okay, well, it's checkmate in about 8. Okay, rightio then. We're going to have a look at the analysis really quickly, and I'll be with you ex supremo. I won't rave on too long because I haven't got much time. E5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop b5, d6. Excellent move. d4, right. Bishop d7, knight c3, knight f6. Well done, Cappuccino. Castles. Bishop e7, book move. Playing well. Rook e1, book move. Castles, book move. Bishop takes knight, star move, best move. Bishop takes, pawn takes pawn. Pawn takes. Queen takes queen, star move, best move. Rook takes, wrong rook. But it doesn't matter. It's about the same. There wasn't much difference, and it was about 0.07%. So that was a fine move. Key move. Bishop to g5. Now, knight takes pawn was the best move, right? It would have led to complications, but I didn't like it. I'll tell you why I didn't like it. If I take the pawn, he could take this one, okay? And if I take his bishop, he can take that. And I can't take that because of checkmate. Okay. Right, so now you know why I played bishop g5. Stuff the engine. I'm the engine. I've got my engine in here, thank you very much. There's my engine. And I've got my teddy. Rook to d6. Now, h6 was the correct move. Let's have a look. So this is the move that he missed. h6. That was the best move. So if I take the knight, I can't take the pawn, can I? I had a plan. My plan was to play bishop here. Right? Okay, that was my plan. And I would have won that pawn. That pawn can't be defended. Oh, you can play bishop d. You can play bishop here. Well, the engine says the best move is g5. Okay, so bishop here. What do you do then? Knight here. Best move. Knight takes pawn. Yeah, so you lose a pawn by force. By force, okay? Gee. So engine says my move was bad, bishop g5, but I'm winning by force. Anyway, but position says, the book says, the engine says it's equal. Knight takes knight, bishop takes knight, star move, but the engine's saying this position's equal. Oh, rook d7? No, rook d7. Ah, so there we go. Hey, fire sword. Thank you, buddy. 214. Fire sword 214 is following. Yes, so the correct move in that position is not rook there, like I might have surmised, but rook here, more active move, threatening rook takes c7. And also with the idea bishop c5, with the rook on here, combining, the two of them combining on this position here. That's the plan, right? But the engine's saying it was equal. A little bit more equal for white, I would think, but that's not the point. Listen, I'd like to thank Cupertino for the games, for subscribing to our channel, and I'd like to go and play X Supreme, who's been patiently waiting. So bang, goodbye to that one. Hope you learnt something from that. X Supreme, is that your chess handle? You're welcome. Thank you for subscribing, my friend. Oh, it's a cute mic, is it? Bad. I'll try again. A cute mic. Does that mean that you're cute, Mike, does it? Or you're sharp? What does it mean? He's from Bulgaria. I'm going to add a cute Mike as a friend to the channel. He's got his photograph in there. He's a nice looking young bloke. And there he is. He's over there in Bulgaria. And he wants a game. So let's have a look. A cute Mike. His highest rating, 1416. He's played 3,974 games for 1,945 wins. So he plays a mean game of chess. We'll challenge him. Wonder what he likes. Challenge to a 10-minute game. We'll try to teach him to be a better player. Play. A cute Mike. Here we go. We're playing a cute Mike. Here he is. He's 1,200 rating. And we'll welcome a cute Mike to the channel. He's playing d4 today. Now, d4 is a good choice. If you play d4, I usually tell players, listen, that's a good line for beginners and stuff. E4 usually leads to, the E4 move usually leads to sharp tactics and stuff, right? But d4 is like a more positional move. So if you ever want to study the great champions that played d4 a lot, go and look at Lajos Portish. I'll type the name in the chat room. He was from Hungary, I think, Lajos Portish, and he made the candidates final. He came to Australia once, old Lajos, did a simultaneous and did a tour. But Lajos Portish and other people would be people like probably Bronstein, you know, like Grandmaster Bronstein, who was a world champion. I think, was he a world champion, Bronstein? I think he was. Anyway, I'm playing I can play d6 here. Playing bishop f4, sharp line. He's probably been watching Gotham chess. God love him. Okay, I'll play d6. I'm not going to muck around. Could have probably play d5. I can't let him have his own way. I don't like opponent. One thing, everyone's got their own style. My style is I don't like to give my opponents comfort in their positions. I don't like my opponents getting too comfortable. And often in these types of positions, if white plays h3, with the idea of getting the bishop back there into the bolt hole and stuff like that, it's very, very hard to dig the damn guys out of the hole. You're digging and digging. It's really hard to get them out. So, yeah, so I don't like to do all that. So, and the other thing I don't like to do is I don't like to castle too early. I like to see what's going on. Is white going to castle kingside? Is white going to castle queenside? I might want to play like c6 and b5 and b4 and queen a5 and something like that if they castle queenside. And if they castle kingside, I might like to play bishop takes knight or something like that. Try to disrupt their comfortable status there. Yeah, so I play knight here now, right? And now I've got an attack on the black squares. That's the sort of play I will do. You know, I haven't castled yet, but I'm fighting for the coloured squares. I've allowed the bishop to go here on the f3, and now I can play my e5 move. So you just get my e5 move in. And now I've got a comfortable game. So I can play knight back to e7. So we've got different dynamics going on in the position here. Rook e1, okay. I'll castle. I can't castle queenside. If I castle queenside, he's got a bishop coming down here and knight coming over here and pawns coming up here. So I don't want to castle queenside for that reason. But what I do want to do is now that I've castled, I want to expand my position. So I want to go for some space. So I need space to breathe, He's going there, right? Well, that's not a bad idea. I can play bishop here. I don't mind giving him the bishop if he wants to take it off. See what he does. So I don't need my bishop to fight for the black squares. I'll just go back there. Okay. Well, in this position, I'm actually happy to take his queen off. And now I can bring this knight over here. And I'm very happy with the position. Because his queen's near my king, but he hasn't got anything else near my king. There's nothing else there that can cause me any real trouble. He wants to bring his knight over. So, but I can move my king in the corner, and now I could chase him away or something. I might trap his queen. I might be able to trap his queen with a bit of luck. That'd be good, wouldn't it, if I could trap his queen? We'll just see what happens. I didn't play the best move. Maybe it's not clear. Yeah. So yeah, it's an unclear position. Hey, Bobson! Oh, Bobson subscribed. Thank you, Bobson. Oh, this is my good friend Bobson. Well, now it's time to take his pawn off, probably. I think it's time to tell him who's boss, right? It's time to tell him who's boss, right? So we're going to do that. Okay, we'll take this pawn off. And what we're doing now is all we're trying to do is to, we're just trying to get our pieces on good squares. This is a very important position. Okay, I don't know about this, but it looks logical. Not happy about it, but he had a few little tricks. He could have actually played bishop takes knight, right? Knight takes, and then queen to b3, attacking my knight and attacking the b pawn. And it would have been very difficult, but now I've got knight here. Knight to f4. My knight's doing a really good job there. I'm very proud of my knight. Yeah, he plays there. That's okay. I don't want to take his bishop. I'm not interested in that. I'll play queen to c7. I've got a long-term plan. You know how I always talk to my grasshoppers? The sensei says, grasshoppers, you've got to have a plan. Well, my plan is very, very logical. It's just knight takes knight here. My real plan was longer term. My plan was to play queen g7, rook on a file to e1, etc. But now I can foresee that I can take off the minor pieces. Right, so the minor pieces being bishops and knights. I've got a pawn extra. And I can fortify the position. I've got rook to f5, f4. It's a good attacking move. Right, I've got one weakness in my position. I'm not worried about it, not overtly worried about it. But it's a very, very difficult position to win. So I'm going to play rook on the a file to f8. Right, so now I'm going to play rook f3, attack his queen. It's time now for d4, d5. I want to play e5 and e6 if I can get it in. All depends on what he does. I don't want to play anything too prematurely in the position. Here he comes. So I'm going to push the pawn on. Yeah, okay. I'm pushing the pawn on. He's playing rook e6. I'll take it. Remember, I'm a pawn up here. He's on a pawn. I'll just protect it. I'm not going to do anything stupid. I'm just playing careful chess. Trying to encourage him to make a certain move. That's what I wanted him to play. It's probably the best move. And now we've got a critical endgame. Rook and 6 pawns against rook and 7 if he changes. If he doesn't change, well, I'll try to penetrate his position with queen f6 and rook d6 and queen f3 check. I'll take the queen first. It's the biggest piece. I'll take the rook. I've got connect 4 here. I'm going to play pawn here. I don't want his king to penetrate. I'll lock him out forever and ever and ever and ever. King up is really important. Pawn there is important. Pawn here is more important. Okay. King up. We've got to get the king over to the pawn structure. This is the last game that I'm playing. Got to take the pawn with check. We've got an outside pass pawn. Technically, outside pass pawn wins. It's a slow process, but we'll get there. Check. And then this is just a clear win. Just keep pushing the pawn. Drive his king all the way back. Drive it back. Drive it back. Can't go any further backwards. Go over and rip all these pawns off. And that's it. That's the end of the section. And we won. Listen, I must go. I must take my wife to visit my mother-in-law. God help me. Anyway, but I'd like to thank everybody for all the subscribers, new subscribers. Please come in. I'll try to come back online. This has been a great stream. I've had really great people in here today, and I've really enjoyed myself. I'll be honest about that. I really enjoyed myself, and I enjoyed teaching you, right, and to be the best chess players you could possibly be. And I thank you all for your undying loyalty, if we can call it that. Okay, you take care, guys. I must go, okay? Bye now. I'll see you later. Okay, righty then.
So I left the shirt to change into.
Okay, right. I had lots of viewers on there. Gee, I've got new subscribers and everything then. I got 3 people subscribed. $15. That's the most I've had subscribed in one session like that.
Shirt, change shirt. We go down to the sea.
I'm going to cut my stream off. Gee,